Greetings simmers, history lovers, and curious tourists. Today we are doing a speed build of the Tower of London. More specifically, the White Tower, which is the cool looking tower in the center of the greater complex of the castle, officially known as Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress of the Tower of London. It is a historic castle on the north bank of the River Thames in central London, and I also believe it is a protected historical site. Pretty sure. Once again, my main information for this comes from Wikipedia, the great and powerful, because I am limited in my resources to a library, an online library, and my ability to buy more books, which is the greatest sorrow of my life, but one day. So I'm doing my best. I'm not a historian, I just really love history, and I love The Sims, and I love games in general. So feel free to fact check me, please. Don't let me misspread information about this place, but do it nicely. We're not trying to start wars, we're just trying to learn and have fun. Alright, so the Tower of London was founded at the end of the Norman Conquest, which was in 1066, by our good old boy, Willie the Conk. It was a resented symbol of oppression inflicted upon Londoners by the new ruling elite. Yeah, that tracks. That's gonna kind of stay the thing. When in doubt, board up the windows in the Tower of London and just wait out the siege. That happens a lot. Most of the early Norman castles were built from timber and wood. Timber is wood. What am I saying? Well, it was built from wood. But by the end of the 11th century, most, including the Tower of London, had either begun to be renovated and replaced with stone or were being replaced by stone. So that's why the original one isn't quite what we see today. The White Tower is also the earliest stone keep in England, at least completed one, and was the strongest point of the early castle. So it was originally supposed to be a castle for defensive purposes, but it was also supposed to be a royal residence. So even though today we think of it as a prison and lots of beheadings, which do happen, that was not its original purpose and goal. It was supposed to be a defensive fortress, but also it was supposed to be like the main residence of the king. And for a while, it was like one of the biggest keeps in Europe, which is pretty fancy, though shockingly simple to our modern knowledge. But this is, as always, just an interpretation of it, because 1, space, 2, I don't have enough room in my memory card for mods and CC to live abundantly, so we're doing the best of what we got. We're just gonna do our best. The main goal here is to have a cool looking castle that we're gonna call the Tower of London. Those are the goals. So back to the history. It's been besieged several times, and controlling it is so important, especially during the early and high Middle Ages, that it's kind of like if you have the Tower of London, you have the country linked up there together. Over the course of its life, the tower has served as an armory, a treasury, a menagerie, aka a zoo, the home of the Royal Mint, a public record office, and the home of the crown jewels of England, as well as a royal residence and occasionally a prison. From about the 14th century through the 17th century, the procession for the monarch's coronation started at the Tower of London and then went to Westminster Abbey. Now we have Buckingham Palace, so it's kind of changed, but that was the traditional route. That's why, if you've ever watched the Tudors or the other Boleyn girl, the character of Anne Boleyn, she mentions how she's being imprisoned in the tower in the room she stayed in before her coronation. So she wasn't actually a prisoner before her coronation. That's just where all kings and queens of England were staying before their coronation began. Just another proof that it was supposed to be a residence first. Alright, in the absence of the monarch, the constable of the tower is in charge of the castle, and this was a very powerful and trusted position during the medieval era. And fun side story. So when I was a kid, I want to say I was around 7 years old, my dad actually went to London and got to see the Tower of London. He went on a tour of it, and when he came back, he told me, because I've always loved history, he told me that he saw our name, our last name. It was somebody's name, but they had our last name written in the the annals and the stone or something like that of the Tower of London. So our name was part of the records. And my first thought as a kid when he said that was, wow, we must have been some high-class prisoners. And my assumptions were quickly corrected when he finished his sentence by saying that they were employed at the Tower of London. They were they worked for the constable of the tower or something like that. But I think it says a lot by the fact that even at 7 years old, my first instinct on hearing that we had ties to the Tower of London was oh yeah, we were definitely prisoners. We are not people of importance, or at least not people of importance that you trust. So I clearly have a high view of my family tree, but apparently we weren't as bad as I thought. Assuming we're related. We probably aren't related at all. I have no idea where we come from, but I highly doubt it's from anybody with any trusted positions of power in the medieval era. Anyways, back to the actual history and not just my assumptions. Under the Tudors, yay! The tower became used less as a royal residence, and it got more of that whole prison vibe reputation going on. Yay! It also wasn't quite as useful as a defensive fortress because artillery, cannons, those were a thing, and it really couldn't hold up against that in comparison to newer, more modern buildings that were being built. So, from about 1100 until 1952, it was used as a prison, though that was not its main purpose for most of that time. That is such a long time period. All of my grandparents were alive in 1952, and that's just, there were still people being held there as prisoner, and it started in 1100. That's some longevity. earliest known prisoner was a man named Ranulph Flambard, which, that is a Simpsons name if I ever heard one. I feel like it's Flanders' cousin.
What?
But whatever. Ranulph Flambard. And he was put in prison there because he was found guilty of extortion. But, happy story, the very first prisoner was also the very first escapee. He escaped from the tower by climbing down a rope, which somebody had smuggled into his cell, in a wine casket. So, yeah, points to him. First prisoner and first jailbreak. He gets all the records.
But then I remembered that I'm pretty good at escaping from things, so I did.
Since I had such a fun time finding out that my family, supposedly, maybe my family, my name and family, was part of this history of the Tower of London, I decided that I was going to look up the list of prisoners, at least the high-end ones from Wikipedia, and read them off. I will speed it up, of course, so you don't have to sit through all that pain and torture. So if any of you hear a name that sounds like yours, you can be like, oh, look at that! We were there too. So, here are a list of the prisoners. The 12th century. Ranulph Flambard, who was the Bishop of Durham, William, Count of Morton, Constance of France, William Fitz-Osbert, John de Courcy. 13th century. Hubert de Burgh, 1st Earl of Kent. I'm sorry, Wales, for this one. Gruffydd ap Llewellyn. A Welsh prince. He was the eldest but illegitimate son of Llewellyn the Great. I'm sorry, Wales. John of Scotland, William Douglas, Lord of Douglas. 14th century. William Wallace, David II of Scotland, John Graham, Earl of Menteith, John II of France, Richard II of England. 15th century. James I of Scotland, the family of Owain Glendower. Sorry again, Wales. Charles, Duke of Orleans, Henry VI of England, Margaret of Anjou, she was the queen consort of Henry VI, George Plantagenet, 1st Duke of Clarence, Edward V of England and his brother Richard of Shrewsbury, aka the Princess in the Tower, who were murdered, Edward Plantagenet, 17th Earl of Warwick, Sir William Stanley, Michael N. Gough, and Thomas Flaminick. Great names. Perkin Warbeck. 16th century. Sir William de la Pole, Gerald Fitzgerald, 9th Earl of Kildare, Thomas Fitzgerald, 10th Earl of Kildare. I wonder if he just became the 10th because the other one died while they were both in prison, and then he just got the title, and then he also died. I should look that up. John Firth, St. John Fisher, St. Thomas More. In case you haven't been caught on, we're at the reign of Henry VIII. The numbers are going to start going up. Blessed Thomas Abel, chaplain to Queen Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, the second wife of Henry VIII, Hugh Latimer, Adam Sedbar, Abbot of Jerval, Blessed Richard Whiting, Abbot of Glastonbury Abbey, Glastonbury. Blessed Richard Whiting, may he be blessed. Blessed Margaret Pole, 8th Countess of Salisbury, Thomas Cromwell, Catherine Howard, 5th wife of Henry VIII, Lady Rochford, Anne Askew, Thomas Howard, 3rd Duke of Norfolk, Edward Seymour, 1st Duke of Somerset. I think we finally crossed into Edward VI's reign. But man, these Tudors, they're really racking it up. For the record, not all of these prisoners died. These are the prisoners. Thomas Cranmer, Archbishop of Canterbury, Lady Jane Grey, uncrowned Queen of England, and her husband, Guilford Dudley, Stephen Gardiner, the future Queen Elizabeth I, Margaret Douglas, Countess of Lennox, Henry Wriothesley, 2nd Earl of Southampton, Henry Percy, 8th Earl of Northumberland, St. Henry Walpole, what's with all the Henrys? Diversify the name pool, please. St. Philip Howard, Robert Poley, and, oh, now you're just being mean, Vavasseur, and, with a V, and Edward de Vere, and their illegitimate son were all imprisoned by Elizabeth I. I need to look that one up, see what was going on there. John Gerard, William Wright. The 17th century. We finally moved into the Stuarts. Did we? No, we didn't. Well, we almost have. We're getting there. They're part of this. Maybe just not yet. Henry Wriothesley, 3rd Earl of Southampton. Again, the Southamptons are back. Sir Walter Raleigh. Apparently while he was imprisoned, he grew tobacco on the Tower Green, and he wrote the history of the world. So he didn't spend his imprisonment wastefully, I guess? Guy Fawkes. Sir Everard Digby. Man, that sounds like it came out of Harry Potter. Henry Percy, 9th Earl of Northumberland. Niall Garve O'Donnell. Sorry, Scotland. Nicholas Woodcock, Sir Thomas Overbury, Con O'Neill, Ireland. Sorry to anybody. Sorry to the British Isles. Thomas Howard, 14th Earl of Arundel. Sir Francis Nethersole. Oh, I like that name. Nethersole. Where's your soul? The Netherlands. No, not the actual Netherlands. Where's your soul? It's nether. It's not here nor there. It's your nether soul. William Laud, Archbishop of Canterbury. John Barwick. Sir Anthony Jackson. John Lambert. Didn't we already have a John Lambert? Wonder if he's a descendant. Major William Rainsborough. You made that name up. Okay. Keep going. John Downes. Henry Oldenburg, First Secretary to the Royal Society. William Penn, Quaker and future founder of Pennsylvania. Yay! Francis Lovelace, Governor of New York. Yay! Samuel Pepys. Samuel P. James Scott, 1st Duke of Monmouth. Judge Jeffreys. Was his first name Judge, or was he a judge? The world may never know. The 18th century. Woohoo! Hanoverians are coming up. Sir Robert Walpole, future Prime Minister. William Maxwell, 5th Earl of Nithsdale. Simon Fraser, 11th Lord Lovat. Flora MacDonald. Sir John Douglas, 3rd Baronet of Kilhead. Kilheed? Oh, I'm calling it Kilhead. Kilhead! Stephen Sayer. Henry Lawrence, the 3rd President of the Continental Congress of Colonial America. Did not know that. That never came up in my history class. Oh, my education is so sad. Okay, keep going. Lord George Gordon. John Anders Jargerhorn. Oh, hold on. Back it up. Let me say that whole name again. I misread that. Johann Anders Jargerhorn. He was released because the Russians got involved. 18th century. We already did that. My bad. 19th century. Sir Francis Burdett. The Cato Street Conspirators. Those are the only ones for the entire 19th century. Woohoo! 20th century. Roger Casement. So he was imprisoned in 1916. Then we have Norman Bailey Stewart, who was imprisoned from 1933 until 1937. We're getting to the end of the line here. The last state prisoner to be held in the Tower was Rudolf Hess in May 1941. And then the last person to be executed in the Tower was Joseph Jacobs on the 15th of August 1941. Both of those had to do with World War II and Nazis, so just look that one up. The last two people, though, to be held in the Tower as prisoners were the Cray twins. I don't know their names, it just said the Cray twins. They were imprisoned for a few days in 1952 for failing to report for national service. Why was that so important that they wound up being imprisoned in the Tower of London and not just plain old jail? I don't understand. I imagine whatever national service it was important, but I don't know what it was. But they were only held for a few days, so how important could it be? Oh, I need to look it up, but I didn't. I'm regretting that now. Well, more fun for later. All right, that is a list of the prisoners, and that is also why there's the phrase, sent to the Tower, because lots of people were. It's never going to be a calm history, is it? Not when the British are involved.
Scots and the British, English and the British. Honestly, that whole island hated itself.
Despite its enduring reputation as a place of torture and death, it apparently only had 7 people executed within the tower itself before the World Wars. Most everyone else was taken to Tower Hill, which is like north of the castle, to be executed. And that is where 112 people were executed over the course of 400 years. Within the tower itself, only 7 people. Everybody else, though they were imprisoned in the tower, they got nixed over on Tower Hill. And that was 112 people. Alright, in the First and Second World Wars, the tower was used as a prison again, and it saw the execution of 12 men for espionage. Damage was caused during the Blitz, which tracks. All of London was damaged during the Blitz. It was repaired, and the castle was reopened to the public as a tourist attraction. It is now apparently one of the most famous tourist attractions and most often visited, which, yeah, I get it. I want to see it really bad. The property is cared for by the Charity Historic Royal Palaces, and it is protected as a World Heritage Site. I knew it, yes, I knew it was in the notes somewhere. Oh, fun facts! At least 6 ravens are kept at the tower at all times, in accordance with the belief that if they are absent, the kingdom will fall. There's also been many supposed sightings of ghosts of some of the people who were executed or imprisoned there, including, of course, the wives of Henry VIII. Personally, I don't believe in the manifestation of the dead as ghosts. I don't think that's possible, but I do think ghosts make extremely fun literary devices. Looking at you, Clytemnestra and Hamlet. So I'm mentioning it here. But do I believe ghosts are real? No. Do I think they are very, very good in writing? Yes. Just separating the facts and fiction there. There you go. And that is the Tower of London. Alright, so I am going to just shut up now, let the pretty music play, and while we finish the speed build, and I'll say goodbye to you at the end. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please click the like and subscribe button. I would appreciate it a lot. If there's anybody that you want to see me make in The Sims, or if there's any building you want to see made, let me know in the comments below. And until we meet again, farewell, friends.